Thank you very much for talking to us. In a few days' time, history will be created. Guyana, Golden Jaguars heading to Saudi Arabia for the first time, playing in the first ever FIFA Series. You're coming up against Cambodia
Right.
and Cabo Verde. What does this mean for you personally, and by extension, the GFF and the football community in Guyana?
Um, I think for us, it's the kind of opportunities that we've always wanted for the national team programs. Um, as you know, I believe it's in 2020 we were able to take the 16 boys to Bosnia. That was a historic tournament where our youth teams were able to play football in Europe and experience the gap that exists between our part of the world and what is considered the leading part of the football world. And here again, we have an opportunity to take the Golden Jaguars into the Middle East to play some games in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But more importantly, to be part of this inaugural initiative approved by the FIFA Council is something that we are very grateful for. The circumstances just happened to line up itself well with Guyana at a time when we were made aware of the opportunity to play in this tournament. We did not have any firm commitment for international friendlies. So we took advantage of that situation immediately and confirmed our willingness to participate. And here we are. So it means a lot. Part of our engagement with the global football family is always to build bridges. We have a lot of good bilateral relationships with countries in different confederation. As you know, only last year we concluded a 5-year MOU with the DBU. We are about to start discussions in early April to explore the possibility of extending that partnership for another period. I don't know exactly how long we'll do that. And recently I met with the ambassador of Mexico. There is an expression of interest from his side and from the Mexican Federation to work with the GFF. So these are things that is a very important part of our strategic, I should say, football diplomacy. What one hope is that, and we've been experiencing that in many ways, is that we are able to produce tangible results from these partnerships. So I'm very fortunate to be at the helm of the GFF at a time when we are, making these historic, creating these historic moments, if I may.
Right, and this is just another of the significant things that has happened under your leadership. CONCACAF World Cup in 2019, League A of the CONCACAF Nations League, and all of this has been happening with a lot of challenges in the background as well.
Yeah.
Facilities, lack thereof, and financial challenges as well.
Yeah.
What would you credit to the success you've had under your tenure so far as president of the GFF?
I think the credit is the team that I have around me. It's easy for anyone to take for granted how hard we work here as a federation. There's no other time in the sport history here that we've had to do so much. The level at which we're playing international football is almost 300 and plus percentage increase from anything we would have played in the past. We're playing at several youth levels. The senior men are pretty active. The female at the youth level and the lady Jags are fairly active as well. So it's a lot of work in making this happen. So we're directing a vast amount of resources, both financial and human resources, to managing all of these programs. And at the same time, we're obviously doing a lot of work here within the domestic space. So the credit really belongs to the team. We have a hardworking general secretary and staff here who supports the vision of the GFF leadership. And on the national team side, we know Coach Abbas has done a remarkable job with the team, leading us into League A. And I believe, the way that I manage the affairs of the Federation is that I empower the people around me. Anyone will say to you that I do not ever intervene or interfere in team selection and all of that stuff. The work of the Federation, we have very experienced people in the various departments who are given the scope to do their work, and the fact that they're all passionate about their job. The fact that we've given them clear direction as to what we're hoping to achieve. They do all the work, and I sometimes get a lot of the credit. But I believe that is just the way that it goes. But yeah, we do have our challenges, but I think moments like this, where we are seeing our boys heading off to have a brand new experience that can be life-changing for them, it makes all of those daunting moments worth the while. So yeah, this is where we are.
All right. Obviously, like yourself and members of the Federation and the wider community, the players are also excited by the opportunities that exist now on this FIFA Series and in Saudi Arabia. A lot of them are looking forward to that opportunity. And a lot of them have been crediting the Federation for creating this opportunity. That must be something that is bring immense satisfaction to you and the Federation as well.
Well, that's why we exist. You know, the parents, the players are the most valuable assets of any football federation, of any football space. I mean, without the players, we don't have a game. So the reason why we exist is really to make sure that we are constantly creating the environment that allows these players to develop, to grow, and at the same time, we're opening opportunities for them to access. In the case of our Golden Jaguars, to access professional contracts. I have to believe, and I'm sure that the young men that will be stepping out in a matter of days, that they have to believe that they have what it takes to gain the attention of some of the clubs, not necessarily the highest, but maybe even the highest, but gain the attention, because I know that this FIFA series will gather a lot of attention. It's new. Everyone would want to know what it's about, and I think it's the right moment. My encouragement to the players is make the most of it. You know, we can only bring you to this point, but after then, it's really up to you. I know the occasion is going to be grand for them. The experience in Saudi Arabia is a totally different world altogether, and I just hope that they're able to cope with it psychologically, and that they play within their capacity and their ability, and the moment don't get the better of them, and you know they go there and try to do too much, and hurt their chances of attracting the right attention, or not just attracting, but being able to transfer attention into meaningful engagement and discussion. So very optimistic. I think we have some really good youngsters in the squad. We have one of the youngest team in the region. So very positive for those guys, and really humble that as a federation we're able to create those sorts of opportunities for them. It's up to them to really to make the most of it.
Apart from the historic nature of this series and these two matches in Saudi Arabia, the bigger picture now after these games would be the World Cup qualification matches in June. You have stated, and other persons around the football fraternity have expressed confidence that Guyana could qualify for that maiden World Cup in 2026. Despite all the challenges around football that you mentioned previously,
right?
What gives you the confidence that that could become a reality?
I think you cannot be occupying the office that I occupy and embark on a World Cup qualifier where the format of the tournament has moved from 32 nations to 48 nations, where the amount of slots that are available in your confederation has increased, and not have some confidence. I mean, if anyone was to be honest about the performance of the team throughout the Nations League, we know that we have a really good team at the moment, and we know the work that we're doing quietly in terms of, and I wouldn't say too much, but there's a lot of work that we're doing quietly in terms of trying to improve our chances. Clearly, when you have to come up against the likes of Panama, you have to be very realistic. But being realistic doesn't mean that you are not able to deliver positive results on that day, because we know football is on the day. So I am aware that we have endemic challenges in the football space that we operate. We don't have all the facilities, we don't have all the tools. But I believe we've proven time and time again that we can overcome these things. You know, there was a time when the Golden Jaguars were evicted from facilities that they were hoping to train on. And that was big news. The Golden Jaguars evicted from a ground because they weren't given the requisite permission to train. That's a national team. Could you imagine your national team being evicted from a ground because, you know, maybe a few protocols were breached in them having to train? And the only reason they may have been at that facility, I don't know all the details, may have been the unavailability of other facilities. We're now at the stage which heavily contributed to the performances that we're seeing now, where they now have a home, you know, and with the recently installed lights, our national teams, more so our Golden Jaguars, can access that facility and train anytime within the 24 hours of a day. And I believe increasing the contact time that they have with the technical and coaching staff has really improved the domestic-based players. We see in the Nations League the high number of domestic players that are in the starting lineup, which bodes well for the program. We believe that that serves as a motivation, inspiration for the players that are coming through the pipeline. But more importantly is an indication of how courageous we are in confronting the challenges that are before us and not being afraid to have a positive outlook about our chances of qualifying for a World Cup. I'm very realistic. And I've always said that I am positive that we can do this, but I've never said that we can do it without doing other things. We need to build an infrastructure around the program. And the infrastructure is not just physical infrastructure, it's the technical staff, it is the sports science that will guide how we prepare and develop the players and get them ready for the big games, the big moments. It's the psychological mechanisms that we put in place, the people who will manage the players before they go into these major games that might be the ultimate determinant on whether we go forward or not. So we have to have the resources to make sure we have those people within our coaching mechanism. I am hopeful that regardless of what happens and how far we advance, obviously my outlook on everything that I'm doing is to get us all the way, but regardless of how far we advance, my hope is that, and not just a hope, what we're working towards as a federation, engaging our partners, working with the government of Guyana, is that we build an infrastructure that allows the chances of qualifying for a World Cup to increase and improve every cycle. If we put certain things in place now, then we can say, okay, we didn't get all the way in this campaign, but guess what? We've built an infrastructure. We understand the process and the methodology. We have the right people in place. Let's start building on this. So the next time around, we get closer, and then who knows? But I have to remain confident because qualifying for League A, for many people, it would have been unthinkable. And the unfortunate thing about how we think a lot in the football space and even wider is that it's easy for one to conceive doubt. But to me, what do you get out of that? What do you get when you're trying to motivate and inspire some young men to give all that they have to offer to a mission that can be such a tremendous moment for our nation? What is the value in constantly regurgitating that this is not possible, this cannot be done, this is all about a dream? I believe that if I was on the outside and I had to lend an opinion to this, I would say, well, why not? To me, that's the question. Why not? And rather than only saying why not, I would say, hey, let's get together and do what we can to help the Federation to pursue this dream. There's no single one that can say for sure that they can qualify for a World Cup. Italy is a 3-time World Cup winner, and they've missed out. So it's a difficult undertaking. But what do? Do you just sit back and say it's impossible, you can't do it, and you resign to the fact that, okay, you're only going to get to this round? I can't do that. I don't believe the national team players want us to do that. I don't believe the nation want us to do that. So I'm very confident that it's possible, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Right. You mentioned infrastructure. There is just one aspect of the whole World Cup dream. As the players now go on the field for this historic 2 games, basically building to that World Cup qualifier in June, what would be your message and your words of encouragement to them, the players and the management staff as they head to Saudi Arabia now?
I hope that they're able to really take in the moment and understand how huge this is. There's so many historical check boxes that we're checking here. I hope that they can understand the moment. I hope that they recognize that they're going to be ambassadors in a very strange country at a time when one of the most significant religious periods are taking place. So we have to be very respectful. It's Ramadan, and we have to be very respectful of this new culture that they're going to be embedded in. I hope that they take pride in representing the country well, that they go above and beyond to give the best impression of who we are as a people. And I hope that they also perform well, that they're able to deliver good results. And I hope that they also pay attention to the standards of professionalism that they're going to experience over there, because I can tell you the tournament is going to be organized at a very, very high standard. So they will be experiencing all this. The facility that they will be playing at is going to be out of this world, as you probably know already. So these are moments that they will live with them for the rest of their lives. And I just hope that they can find themselves in that space where they acknowledge and take it in and really understand what it means to be able to be in football at this particular time in their career, having the opportunity to do this. I believe once they do that, once they're able to recognize and acknowledge what this is all about, then I would hope that they would say, I want to do more of this. I want this to become my life, where I'm playing at a venue like this against opponents of this from around the world. And in order to do that, I have to deliver a stellar performance on the pitch. And all things being equal, fingers crossed, and with the blessings of the Almighty, someone will come knocking and say, we want to have a discussion with you about your future.
That would be the icing on the cake for you?
That will be the icing on the cake for all of us. Not just for me, for all of Guyana. Because it will open up so many doors. I travel a lot, as you probably know, and oftentimes in certain corners of the world, when you say you're from Guyana, now, obviously we're a lot more visible now, but even now, there's a lot of people across the world that do not know a country by the name of Guyana exists.
Mr. Forde, thank you very much for your time.
And you're welcome.